In his eternal quest for dominance, Nagash has mastered undead servants to fill the ranks of his vast armies. The Soulblight Gravelords are among his most powerful allies, contributing terrible bloodthirst, midnight sorcery, and subtle influence on his endless campaign against the living. These accursed vampires command hordes of unliving thralls in service to the great necromancer. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Miniatures Tavern. My name is Watts, and today we are jumping into Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead Soulblight Gravelords. Now, the Soulblight Gravelords are dear to my heart as they are my main faction in Age of Sigmar, and their Spearhead box is tons of fun. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the Soulblight Gravelords box is called the Bloodcrave Hunt. And the composition is you're going to get one Vampire Lord, you're going to get two 10-man units of Death Rattle Skeletons, you're going to get 5 Blood Knights, and you're going to get 3 Vargheists. You get a total of 29 models in the box, which is pretty nice, and it comes out to 750 total points. If you're looking for the box, this box is going to run you $145 on the Games Workshop website. But you can find it on Amazon or on eBay for $123.25. And remember, I'll have some links below in the description. If you do decide to pick up this box, we ask that you pick it up off of Amazon using our affiliate link because it helps support our channel. So here we go. Soulblight Gravelords Bloodcrave Hunt. Through the great vampiric bloodlines maintain wildly different traditions of war, there is only one thing they all have in common: the love of the hunt. Even those who adopt the airs and graces of noble courts struggle to keep the blood-craving beasts within them contained behind their gilded veneers. Such is the power of the Soulblight curse, that the vampiric nobility that reveal in its blessings will often strike out on bloodcrave hunts to chase down foes to replenish their feeding supplies, or oftentimes just to enjoy indulging their fell urges. Each hunt is led by a vampire lord who directs both members of their court and ranks of their skeletal servants alike to do their bidding. No blackline leaders are these, as they would much rather revel in the carnage of battle, slashing apart enemies with their ornate weapons or taking great gulps of blood. Though they fight violently, they use this vital life stuff to heal their own injuries as they go. An elite guard of mounted blood knights attends their lord, charging through enemy lines to skewer them with sword and lance. Many will bring along Vargheists to aid in the hunt, for these grotesque creatures were once members of their court as well. Though having fallen to the urges of their curse, they are now good for little more than chasing and killing. Should their masters not take care of the enemy, Death Rattle Skeletons will be raised to clean up the straggling foot soldiers or overwhelm their foes with sheer numbers. With their lord nearby, they could get up and resume fighting countless times after being destroyed. So let's go ahead and take a look at the battle traits for the Bloodcrave Hunt. You get 2 battle traits in a Spearhead army. The first one is called Death's Descent. And basically this says that your Vargheist unit is not set up during the deployment phase. Instead, from the 3rd battle round onwards, it can use the following ability: Swoop Down. So what you're going to do is in your movement phase, from the 3rd battle round onward, you're going to set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 6 inches from all enemy units. You also get the Hunger, which is really nice. This effect, each time a friendly vampire unit uses a fight ability, after all of its attacks have been resolved, you're going to heal X that vampire unit, where X is the number of damage points allocated by those attacks. So that is really nice, especially if you charge and you're the active player and you get to choose the first battle where it takes place. The important thing here is that you get to heal after your fight ability has been resolved. So you will heal the amount of damage that you inflict in your opponent, and you will do that before your opponent has a chance to attack you back. So super powerful. You do have a good amount of vampire units in this Spearhead box. The Vampire Lord is a vampire. The Blood Knights are vampires, and the Vargeists are vampires. So really the only units that aren't going to be healing after melee are your Death Rattle Skeletons, but this army has things that affect them. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Your enhancements. You can pick one of the following regiment abilities. You have Endless Legions, and this is once per battle in your movement phase. You can pick a friendly Death Rattle Skeleton unit that has been destroyed, and you can set up a replacement unit with D6 plus 4 models anywhere on the battlefield more than 6 inches from all enemy units. Now, this is a battle trait, so you can do this once per battle in your movement phase. You can bring a unit back. Or you can choose Ruinous Chargers. You're going to pick a Blood Knight unit to use this ability if it charged this turn. And you're going to inflict D3 mortal damage on each enemy unit it passed across during the charge ability. So that's pretty good if you want to charge maybe your opponent's like heavy units on the other side of maybe some chaff units. You can do that, and if you pass over, let's say, the Skaven, the Ratlings, you're going to be able to inflict D3 mortal wounds on that unit. Enhancements, you can pick one enhancement to give your general. You have 4 to choose from. The thing I like about these enhancements is they work kind of like detachments in 40K. Each one gives your army a flavor and a different way to play. So you always have 4 to choose from, and I encourage you playing multiple games and choose the different enhancements and work through them, because that's how you're going to find out how you like to play. That's how you're going to find out your play style, is by picking a different flavor. So let's look at them. Your first enhancement is called Grave Sand Shard. This is a once per battle reaction, and it goes off when you declared the Skeleton Legion ability for a unit within 9 inches of your general. And that's going to add 1 to each Legion roll made for that unit. So it's going to add D6 plus 5, right, for your Legion roll. So you'll be able to bring on more skeletons, which is pretty awesome. It's once per battle, though, so keep that in mind. Your next ability is passive. It's called Aura of Night, and you're going to be able to ignore negative modifiers to save rolls for shooting attacks that target your general. Your general is your Vampire Lord. This is going to make him a lot more durable. Definitely ignoring those negative modifiers to save rolls, so any rend is going to be 0, and I believe he has a 3-up save and a 6-up Feel No Pain, or Age of Sigmar's version of Feel No Pain. We'll go over the cards in a minute. So that makes him really durable. Your next enhancement is once per battle in your movement phase. It's called Cloud of Bats. Remove your general from the battlefield and set them up again anywhere on the battlefield more than 6 inches from all enemy units, which is pretty nice if you want to escape. That's a good one. But the one I take the most is probably this one, Spirit Gale. And this is in your hero phase. You're going to make a casting roll of 2d6, and if you get a 7 or higher, you're going to inflict 1 mortal damage on each enemy unit on the battlefield. I take this because, number one, it affects every unit on the battlefield, every enemy unit. And even though it's only 1 mortal damage, it really stacks. You got 4 turns, that's 4 mortal damage per unit. You're going to kill some units. So that's the one I take. But the other ones are pretty good too. It's between that and Grave Sand Shard for me, honestly. So there you go. There you have it. So let's jump into the War Scrolls. We're going to take a look at the Vampire Lord first. He's going to be your general. He has 5 health. He moves 6 inches. He does save on a 3, and he has 2 control points. His melee weapon is Dynastic War Relic, coming in with 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, rend 1, damage 2, and then in your hero phase, he has another spell that he can cast, and that's called Vile Transference. And you're going to pick a visible enemy within 6 inches of this unit to be the target, then make a casting roll of 2d6. And on a 6 up, you're going to roll a number of dice equal to the target's health characteristic. And for each 5 up, you're going to inflict 1 mortal damage on your opponent, and you're going to heal 1 this unit. This is a great spell as well. You have to pick, because he only gets 1, he's only wizard 1, so he can only cast 1 spell in your hero phase, but you have some flexibility there, whether you want to try to inflict 1 mortal wound across the board on your opponent, or whether you want to try to inflict mortal wounds on a specific opponent, but also heal. So you got 5 wounds. If you're down into the 1 or 2 wound range, maybe 3 wound range, you can do Vile Transference, and you have a chance to heal your Lord at full health. His keywords are Hero, Wizard, Infantry, Vampire, and Ward 6. There it is. That's the Feel No Pain. I had a lapse in thinking right there. But Ward 6. So on a 6 up, he neglects the damage. I'm pretty sure all your vampire units have a Ward 6, except the Skellies. So let's move on to the next card. Next up, we got the Blood Knights. Now, they have 3 health each. They move 10 inches. They save on 3s. And they have 1 control point. Now, they have a 2-weapon melee profile. You have Templar Lance or Templar Blade. You're going to get 3 attacks. You're hitting and wounding on 3s. You have Rend 1, which is Age of Sigmar's version of AP, and 1 damage. But if you charge and then fight, you're going to get a +1 damage. So it would be 2 damage on the charge. Then your horses are going to attack. Companions, you got Nightmare's Hooves and Teeth coming in with 3 attacks each. Hitting on 5s, wounding on 3s, 0 rend, and 1 damage. And then they have a passive ability called Riders of Ruin. And the effect is that models in this unit can pass across enemy infantry models as if the unit had fly. Now remember, you have an ability that you can take that allows these guys to inflict D3 mortal damage when they pass across enemy units to make a charge to another unit behind them. So there's good synergy there with these guys. So if you like cavalry, if you like packing a punch, that would be a great flavor to run, and this would be your main, hitting unit. So that would be cool. Their keywords are Cavalry, Vampire, and Ward 6 up. Remember, Vampire, anything with a Vampire keyword, you're going to heal the amount of damage that you inflict on your opponent after you swing, after you fight. So keep that in mind. Pretty awesome heal mechanic for Soulblight Gravelords. Next up, we have the Death Rattle Skeletons. Now, they have 1 health. They move 4 inches. They are very slow. They save on 5s. They have 1 control point. They are equipped with ancient weapons. They get 2 attacks. They hit and wound on 4s because basically they're just dead humans. 0 rend, 1 damage. They have no weapon abilities, but they do have this ability in any combat phase. Any combat phase. For each slain model from this unit, make a Legion roll of D6. For each 5 up, return 1 slain model to this unit. So even if your opponent swings first, any combat phase, when it's your turn, before you swing, you can do this ability, and you're going to roll a D6, and for each 5 up, you're going to return 1 slain model to your unit. They are infantry, but they do have a Ward 6. So even the Skellies have Ward 6. So it makes it a little durable. You combine this with the Legion rule, and you're bringing units back. And these do come back. So, I mean, endless hordes. There you go. And finally, the Vargeists. Let's take a look at these bad mamma jammas. They got 4 health. They move 12 inches. They save on a 5-up. They have 1 control. They come in at turn 3 in your movement phase. Remember that, so they have to stay off the board. They have Murderous Fangs and Talons. That's 3 attacks each. They're hitting on 4s. They're wounding on 3s. Rend 1, damage 2. And on that hit roll, if you roll 6s, you're going to get an extra hit. Their ability is crit, 2 hits. So for every 6 you roll in the hit roll, you're going to pick up an extra attack, which is pretty awesome. They have a passive ability called the Scent of Gore, and you're going to add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made by this unit if they target a damaged unit. So if you swoop these guys in and they charge into a unit that's already damaged, they are wounding on 2s, 1 Ren, damage 2 with extra hits. Very powerful, very hard-hitting unit. They have the infantry, vampire, fly, and ward 6 keywords. So they're going to heal. And they also have a 6-up ward, 6-up feel no pain to make them durable and help them shake wounds. So very powerful units. You can see why they come in turn 3, because they really wreck. They wreck. They're a great unit to play. They're tons of fun to play. And it's great when you're playing them because it's deep enough into the game that your opponent is like, oh, dang, I forgot you had those. Surprise! So really fun to play. So let's go ahead and take a look at the SWAT analysis for the Soulblight Gravelords. If you've been around the tavern a while and you've looked at my videos and watched my videos, you know that I have developed a advanced language model. I have an AI program that we feed all the data sheets and all the stats and everything into it, and then it helps us produce strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for each Spearhead army. It's really cool. So let's jump in and take a look. The strengths of the Soulblight Gravelords is resilience and regeneration. Units like the Death Rattle Skeletons offer excellent sustainability on the battlefield due to their ability to regenerate lost models, bolstering the army's staying power in prolonged fights. And this is really good for the skeletons if you want to take and hold objectives. They only have a 4-inch movement. They're pretty slow, but they are great to set up on an objective and hold that for you, especially in your own territory. Or there's some missions in Spearhead where you can contest terrain features. These units are excellent for that type of gameplay. They also have powerful charging abilities. Blood Knights and other cavalry units can deal devastating charge attacks, making them effective at breaking enemy lines and causing high impact damage. We saw that with their ability to charge over infantry units and inflict D3 mortal wounds, and then they get +1 damage on the charge. So these guys have the ability to hit really, really hard. And then finally, you have versatile heroes. Characters like the Vampire Lord can siphon life to heal themselves, ensuring they remain threats throughout the battle. And that is absolutely true, but it's not just the Vampire Lord, it is also the Vargeist, and it's also your Blood Knights. Anything with the Vampire tag is going to be able to heal after they swing. So, very challenging to wipe this army off the board. Let's take a look at some weaknesses. Unfortunately, they do have some weaknesses, but only 2, which I think is pretty cool. Dependency on key units. The army's effectiveness is heavily reliant on the presence and survival of its hero units to maximize its unit's potential. And that's true, but that's also true of every Spearhead army, right? Like, the leaders and the generals because they get the enhancement, they get the ability. I mean, that's just par across the board. So there's nothing like outstanding in the weakness department for the Soulblight Gravelords. They're subject to the same parameters and ramifications of every other Spearhead army. And then the next one is limited range options. The army predominantly excels in melee, potentially struggling against well-rounded armies with strong ranged units. That is true. Vampires do not shoot. Keep that in mind. We have magic, but you can only cast one spell because the Vampire Lord is only Wizard 1. You have 2 very nice spells to choose from, but vampires don't shoot. Keep that in mind. Opportunities. Let's hit that. Exploit regeneration. The regeneration abilities allow the army to excel in wars of attrition, wearing down opponents who lack the means to deal sustained high volume damage. And then we have commanding presence. Enhancements and regiment abilities offer strategic versatility in the battlefield, giving options to adapt tactics fluidly during various phases of the game. 100%. Threats to the Soulblight Gravelords. They are vulnerable to high damage attacks. While units can regenerate, they are vulnerable to being overwhelmed by high damage attacks that can outpace their healing. This is especially true if you're going up against a shooty army. Remember, in Sigmar, you can shoot into combat. So just be aware of that. Your strength really comes when you swing, right? You have to fight in order to heal. So just keep that in mind. So you might want to, strategically place those Variguys. So if you have, like, let's say you're fighting Skaven, right? And they have the little sniper dudes and stuff like that. You might want to set up those Variguys on turn 3 to come in and wipe those guys out. They can wipe them out in 1 turn if you roll well. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, strategic counterplays is another threat. Opponents familiar with the Soulblight Gravelords' reliance on key units may focus on isolating or quickly eliminating these to cripple the army's effectiveness. But again, you have the opportunity to cripple your opponent's leader, generals, stuff like that. So nothing out of the ordinary here, kind of adhering to the parameters of Spearhead, and nothing out of the ordinary, right? Every army is susceptible to strategic counterplays. As a Spearhead player, if you want to be good, you should be familiar with how your opponent runs their army anyway. You should be familiar with the abilities that your opposing army has. So nothing out of the ordinary here. In closing, this analysis highlights the strategic depth and potential vulnerabilities of the Soulblight Gravelords' Spearhead army, offering insights into how they can be effectively played and countered. Well, there you go, guys. That was the video for the Soulblight Gravelords. I hope that this video helps anyone that's looking to jump into Age of Sigmar and maybe play Soulblight Gravelords, or someone that is already playing the Soulblight Gravelords, just to give you a little insight on how you can play your army to benefit you and just have more fun playing the game. That's what it's all about here at the tavern. We're just looking for ways to help people enjoy the game more. Let me know what you think. Do you play Soulblight Gravelords? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I love them. They're a great little army. They're tons of fun to play. If you're thinking about getting into the Soulblight Gravelords, I would love to hear from you as well. And as always, thank you so much for checking out our video. My name is Watts, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.